Oh, hi. You're watching Dirty Laundry TV. I'm your host, Carrie Kay. Today we have, in the back of their van, lightning bolts.
Half of lightning bolts. Oh, wait.
Brian.
Little Brian came too.
Oh, hey. Look who just showed up.
We have a stand-in for the bassist.
So how did the two of you meet up and form?
Me and him?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we met up, I don't know why I said actually, at the Rhode Island School of Design.
Uh-huh.
I was maybe a junior or something, and he was like this freshman that was like this hot new bass player way back in the day, because he could play like all these Primus riffs and stuff.
Oh, that was big back then, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Primus. It might have been Rush.
Mm.
Anyway, whenever I say he likes Primus, he gets really embarrassed. Whenever I announce it on my microphone to the whole room that he likes Primus, he gets like kind of
It's okay.
upset with me.
It's okay only if you're a bass player.
Yeah, I mean every bass player had a Primus phase.
Yeah.
So we started playing together because there was a guitarist I was playing with, and then the three of us started playing together. And then actually Brian quit because he said like we were like too old.
What?
Literally.
And you were juniors?
Yeah, we were juniors in college. He was like, we're like too old and like slow now. Or I forget, it was something like that. Like, we just don't have the energy for it or something. And then, it's just so many 20 years ago. But then the guitarist, me and him split up, and then me and Brian tried it again. And it somehow, I guess I reclaimed my youth, and it worked out better the second time.
Thank God. How has the band Les Savy Fav influenced you?
How has Les Savy Fav influenced us?
Yeah.
Well, actually, when we first started, me and Brian were just kind of jamming a lot, and not really writing. We sort of had like a couple weird dark half song things, and then we saw Les Savy Fav play because they were a RISD band at the same time as us, and they had all these like tight songs. They had a whole set of tight songs, and it's funny because I'd seen tons of bands with like tight songs play, but I don't think I'd seen like maybe such good friends with tight songs. So it kind of blew our mind, and we were like, oh my God, like we gotta write, like these are cool, we gotta go write tight songs.
Yeah.
So then it kind of jump started this, like then we worked out a whole set or something. But yeah, it kind of took us, and we were kind of meandering, and they sort of focused us just by seeing them play.
Cool.
That was quite a long time ago though.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And then we've crossed paths a few times. And then Tim was a really good friend in school. So Tim, as a person, Tim Harrington probably influenced me just by being like as the lunatic that he is back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had fun.
Tell us about Bjork, working with Bjork.
Bjork was fun. Yeah, that was wild. I got an email from her label. It was like a weird email like, you can tell us to fuck off if you want, but Bjork wants you. Because I think they thought I was like the super punk who'd be like, fuck Bjork, like, I don't know. Maybe if Gigi Allen contacted me, I'd do it, but from the afterlife or wherever he's hanging out.
Yeah.
But I was thrilled, and but I hadn't actually. I mean, I knew some Bjork stuff at that time. I didn't know like the whole breadth of her catalog. So I waited a while because they said they'd send me all the albums, and of course they didn't. So then I went and bought all the albums, and completely fell in love with all the aspects of it that I hadn't really focused on before. So, and then I went in, and it was literally just a day in the studio, and she had probably done like 90% of this album. She had kind of finished this whole album, Volta, and so I just improvised over top of all the different songs, and I played really crazy over all this stuff. And then this one song I played like really kind of like a slow build, and I should have known because that was the song where she ran in at the end and she was super excited. It didn't occur to me at that point like, oh, well, maybe that's what we'll get on. And then of course that's what did get onto the record, is the slow build one.
What about your first meeting with her?
I mean the roughest part was just like trying to get is it Bjork or is it Bjork? Like there's these,
I've heard it was Bjork.
It's Bjork, yeah. It's not Bjork, which is what I said. Like, hi, is Bjork here? Because there was like this ring of people, and she had her back to me, and so I was just like, that's not her. Like, where is she? And then I said her name wrong, and then she turned around, and that was her. But she was super nice.
Yeah.
I think it was her birthday. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and like the next day they were having this big feast where like Matthew Barney, her now not partner but her partner for many years, they were like, he had concocted these like 2 deer with their antlers intertwined. They were gonna have this huge fire, and she was like, you should come over. And I was like, I gotta go to my parents' house or something, so I didn't go. So I missed out on that party, but she was very, very nice.
Tell us about the move to Thrill Jockey.
Yeah, so we've done everything with Load Records, this Providence-based label, from the beginning for Lightning Bolt. And I did a solo record on Load as well. But Load, in about a year ago, they had a kid. They're a couple. The label's a couple, and they had a kid, little Max. So they've just been really slowing down. And they both work full-time. Like, they've never really done the label as a money-making enterprise. It's always just kind of been a labor of love. And so the timing, like, we were kind of putting a lot of effort into this new record. Like, we kind of upped the recording style. We went into a studio, which we don't usually do. Like, we were sort of preparing for like a record. And Load was kind of downsizing, so the trajectories were kind of off. And so maybe 2 years ago, I was trying to figure out, like, because Load was kind of planning to have a child or something, so they were slowing down then too. So I had a solo record that I'd made, and I was looking for a home for that. So I talked to a lot of people, and kind of came to the conclusion that Thrill Jockey was sort of a similar operation with Load. I mean, but kind of like a step up in maybe like scale and size. Like, I mean, they have like an office with a bunch of people working there. And then it turned out that Bettina, who runs Thrill Jockey, like had all my solo CDRs or something. And so it seemed like, okay, like this is a person that's knows about it.
Yeah.
And she'd been to a bunch of Lightning Bolt shows back in the day and stuff. So I kind of went in there with my solo thing to like test the waters a little bit. And it worked out great, and it was really nice. And I wonder, maybe she was, well, I don't know. I don't want to say that like she took my solo thing because like she thought she could get Lightning Bolt too, but whatever. I'll take what I can.
Yeah, that's probably how it went down.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But Bettina's super cool, and she puts out some pretty experimental stuff.
Yeah.
So even just putting out my solo record is totally on par with like some of the other stuff they've been doing. And it was a good fit. So Lightning Bolt, it seemed to make sense to just follow it up with another thing. Because I like to keep it simple too. Like, if I do a solo record, it's just nice to do Lightning Bolt there too. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't have to email with too many different people.
Yeah.
And they're really like, I feel like they're really active right now. Thrill Jockey's been just putting a lot of stuff out, and like seems like it's like experimenting in some new directions for the label. So pretty happy with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I heard that you had a sort of run-in with Clint Eastwood.
Oh, the
at
Clint Eastwood
Coachella.
story. Yeah, I told this earlier, but I'll tell it again. I try to tell the story every day to keep it part of my life.
And who was the other celebrity?
Oh, David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff, yeah.
Yeah, so we played Coachella, but then when we were setting up behind our stage, I think this band Tiny Tempa, which was a hip-hop band that sort of had maybe like a hit a couple of years ago, but they were playing, and so Clint Eastwood and David Hasselhoff show up behind stage supposedly to watch this hip-hop band, which I didn't know Clint Eastwood and David Hasselhoff were into that. But so we were setting up because we were a few bands later.
They were into each other.
And they were just into each other. I mean, that's what that place is. Like Dane DeVito's running around somewhere, and there's just all these, they're all there.
Sure.
But Clint Eastwood and David Hasselhoff were just surrounded by all these ladies, and so I was just kind of setting up watching them. And at some point, like the sea parted, and Clint Eastwood was just by himself, and I was like, I'm gonna go for it. So I went up with my iPhone, and I was like, Mr. Eastwood. I touched his like really bony shoulder, and he was just like, and I was like, hey, can I get a photo? I love your work. And he's just like, all right, let's just do it. And so I held the iPhone up, and with the iPhone, you can turn it around so you see what you're doing, or you turn it so you just kind of aim it at your head from that side without knowing what's happening. And I held it up, and I like took the photo of us, and he's like, did it come out? And I'm like, oh, it's great. And I just ran away as fast as I could. And then I look, and of course, it's just my head, and with no, not even the side of Clint Eastwood's head. It's just like 100% me. So I completely blew it. But the good thing was, then I looked over, and David Hasselhoff was just like posing over on the side, I think over by the bathrooms, just by himself with no one around. So I like turned the phone around, walked over, held his less bony shoulder and said, Mr. Hasselhoff, I love your work, big fan, can I get a photo? And he was super into it. So we got like I think he's like kind of the thumbs up for me. You got a good photo from me and David Hasselhoff.
What's the sickest thing that's ever gone down at one of your shows?
Sick
Like
As in
craziest,
just crazy?
just like what just happened, or like one of them. I'm sure that you have a lot.
I mean,
of
a lot of just like minor sickness happens. I mean, like, amps fall on my head. Kids get cut by cymbals. I whapped a guy in the head once and he had this like crazy bulge sticking out of his head from the drumstick.
He just got too close?
He got too close and I stretched a little more than I usually do. Because a lot of times we play on the floor, which we are not doing tonight. Historically we have. Lately, because of the size of the shows, we have not been as much. And also because of like this newfound guilt about like people that are not as tall as the people that in the front or something.
Yeah.
Just started to feel weird weights about it. But anyway, this was just a floor show, and it was in Philadelphia at this place called the Philadelphia Athenaeum, which was this crazy warehouse. There were like kids hanging upside down from rafters and stuff, and just like a sea of people.
Really
and this one kid managed to squeeze his way like not just to the edge of my drums. He had like squeezed his way between the drums, like so he was now just within the drum set.
You wanted to be an extra piece.
Kind of. Like, I mean, kids get around the drum set, but he had actually gotten, like, into it. And so I was playing, and it was the middle of a song, and I saw this, like, head looming, and I meant to just fire, like, a warning shot over his head. So I, like, took a real swing at him, and I completely wailed him across the forehead. And, like, instantly, you saw his, like, eyes kind of roll back, and I just, like, saw this thing grow. And then he kind of disappeared. But I saw him later, and he was wasted, and he was super psyched.
Yeah.
So then there's another time I hit a guy, and this is like me being kind of evil. One of my favorite shows ever, despite this evil part, we played at this place called the Dome in London, which is just a big old wooden room. And the stage is like, I feel like the stage is like 50 feet high, and it has like a little railing around it. It's like you can imagine like the old Muppet guys up there, like the two old men, and that's the stage.
I used to know their names.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember. But we went in there and we were like, oh man, this is a big room for the floor, but that stage sucks. Like, what are we going to do? But they had these weird wooden triangle things, like cube, like three-dimensional wooden things.
Uh-huh.
Like giant, like toy blocks. They were painted blue and they were like triangles. And I was like, whoa, there's like 8 of these things. We can almost build like mini stages out of them. And they were like 2.5 feet off the ground, like the height. So it was like a kind of a perfect stage size. So we built one for me that fit my drums and one for Brian, and we put them next to each other, and we just perfectly fit so everyone could just really get up around us. But we were still just like above, the head level so they could see what was going on.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that show is that as we were playing, people were just moving and mushing, and like our little stages started to separate. So like by the end of the show, he was like 15 feet away. We were just like separating. But at some point, this like huge skinhead guy like worked his way up to the front, and he was like punching my cymbal, and like the song would end and he would just still be punching. And I was like, come on, man, if you're gonna play along, like you gotta play like with the beat or something. And I said that, I was like, man, you can bang my cymbal, but you gotta bang in rhythm with the song. And he was just like, I think he was like, fuck you, just some crazy fan or non-fan. And I was like, I can't, this guy's gotta go. And so I had my stick, and I've never done this before. I just like whacked him in the forehead like as hard as I could with it, and he sort of like got dazed, and he started banging the cymbal again, and so I whacked him again. And then I just kind of started whacking him a lot, and then at some point he realized that that he was getting whacked because he was really wasted, and he like was bleeding, and I was whacking him, and he started like trying to get at me, but then he got sucked back into the crowd, and then I guess he got into a fight with a bouncer, and then he got thrown down the stairs. But it was kind of a dark moment. Like I was just beating this guy in the head with this drumstick, and I never had really done that before.
Well, it's like you were trying to swat a fly.
It was like kind of like I was trying to swat like a 6'5" fly, skinhead fly thing.
It was really irritating. Yeah.
But it was weird because it was this moment where you're like, you're in a band and all these people are here to see you, and you pick out this like enemy, and like you have such crazy power at that moment, because I could just be like, I mean, not really like kill this man, but in a way, people are there to see us, and like they're caught up in the moment, and this guy's like fucking with me. So I'm actually glad but our fans are generally just like little skinny happy art rejects or something, so it's usually pretty chill. But this guy was a weird vicious dude, and I retaliated with this like certain amount of viciousness. So that was kind of a weird, sick moment. The fucking guy once I like masturbated on my drums once while I was playing, which was kind of crazy and gross.
Oh, cool.
There was like this naked dude with a monkey mask the whole time. At the end of the night, I made a discovery on the drums of something he had left behind.
Wait, some guy masturbated on your drums?
A guy masturbated
or you
on.
did?
No, not me. A guy
Okay,
in a.
I thought
in a
that you did.
monkey.
I would be really impressed if
Oh
you
no, I probably wouldn't have told that story if it was me. No, some dude,
But
this
you're
naked
perfectly
dude in a
fine
monkey mask.
peeing all over.
Oh yeah, I'll pee on myself because it's like it's less of a process to pee.
It's less, yeah.
If you start masturbating at shows a lot, I think you might develop some sexual issues that will just like jeopardize what you need to get off.
You would flip a switch.
Yeah, maybe you might like
I
go over
feel
some line where you're like, oh my god,
Yeah,
I want to have a
need
kid,
this
but I can only
now,
have sex in the
baby.
middle of like
Yeah.
a Van Halen concert.
So the guy who jerked off onto your drums had a monkey mask?
Yeah, it was a naked guy with a monkey mask, and I
Cool.
swear it was in Atlanta, and the other Brian's mom was there
Oh.
watching, because she would come to all of our shows in Atlanta because she lived in Atlanta for a while. Yeah, and this fucking monkey is masturbating on the drums.